Welcome to the Business of Ops podcast. We invite app industry professionals to cover various topics. We promise to do our best to keep it both insightful and brief. In this episode, we have Chris Hewish, president of Xsolla. Chris, welcome to the Business of Ops podcast.
Thank you, Artem. I am happy to be here.
Thank you for coming, Chris. It is great to have you on. Okay, first things first, let's set the stage. Building a sustainable game business has never been more complex or more full of opportunity. As platforms evolve and user acquisition costs rise, developers are rethinking how they monetize and engage their players directly. In this episode, Chris Hewish, president of Xsolla, breaks down the rise of direct-to-consumer D2C transactions and how Xsolla's web shop is helping game studios reclaim ownership over their player relationships. We explore how going D2C opens new revenue streams, what infrastructure developers need to support it, and why the web shop is becoming more than just a payment layer. It is turning into a strategic channel for growth, loyalty, and long-term success. Chris, before we dive into today's topic, can you tell me a little bit about you and your background in tech?
Sure. So I've been in the games business my entire career. I've been really fortunate to work on all sides of the industry. I started off testing games and then designing games, then got into producing. And really along the way, realized that while I have a passion for the creative part of it, of designing and coming up with new ideas, I had a great aptitude for the business side of it. And that sort of put me on this journey where I've been able to work at companies like Activision. I was there for 13 years working on all sorts of franchises that people would know to this day. DreamWorks Animation, ran a few studios, and have really worked on, all the different platforms, PC, console, mobile, VR even, and across all the genres. And then about 6 years ago, was looking at, what do I do next? I feel like I had sort of touched upon everything in the industry, from development and production and marketing, go to market, running studios, as I said. And then I spoke with the folks at Xsolla and realized, oh my goodness, there's a whole part of the business that I have not, had insight into yet, and that is, the sort of the commerce side of it, or the B2B side. And it was really exciting to come over and start working at a company that's helping to solve a lot of the problems that, game developers face when they try to bring their games to market. And it's been a great journey and a great opportunity to see the industry truly at scale, where we work with thousands of games across the entire globe.
As I was getting ready for this episode, I saw in your LinkedIn profile that you worked for DreamWorks Animation and Skydance. That was my wow moment. What is the most memorable for you from the days there?
A lot of good memories, worked with a lot of very talented people. But I think one thing that really stood out to me was a leadership lesson that I learned when I was at DreamWorks. And back then it was run by its founder, Jeffrey Katzenberg. And I remember there was a company meeting where we were going over, the entire company was brought together, and we were kind of getting updates on various, not just films, but technology initiatives, because what a lot of people may not know is DreamWorks Animation was very heavily focused on technology, both around films, around filmmaking, CG animation, and 3D and all of that. But they also had a number of forward-looking tech products. And there was one of these products that somebody had been tasked to work on, and it didn't work out. It was kind of you could say it was not a high profile, but it was an expensive misstep. And often in companies, when that happens, people get thrown under the bus or they get fired. But I remember Jeffrey actually specifically brought the leader of this initiative up and publicly thanked him for trying something that was very hard. And even though it didn't work out, the fact that they tried to accomplish something that was difficult and failed was not a reason to think of them as a failure. It was a reason to sort of celebrate the effort and, called out that they were still, this is still a valuable part of the company, even though this particular initiative didn't work out. We're still going to try hard things, and we don't want a culture. This was the takeaway. He did not want a culture where people were afraid to try hard things out of fear of failure or repercussions from that failure, and wanted to create a safe environment where if you truly made a good faith effort and you weren't inept or screwed it up, just by being lazy or whatever, but if you made a real good faith effort and you really worked hard and it just didn't work out because maybe the idea wasn't right, the timing wasn't right, that was not a cause for fear, but a cause for celebration, and it created a very safe environment for experimentation, and a great environment for creatives. So that really stayed with me.
I just love it, Chris. This is the great philosophy, great culture you should have in your company. People are not going to be making bold moves, are not going to be taking risky movements and invent new things if they know that they will be severely punished for any mistake. I just love it. All right, now tell me about Xsolla.
Sure. So Xsolla is, for people that may not know, Xsolla is a company that is in the video game space, providing all of the things that a game developer or game publisher would need to run the business of their games. And we've been around for 20 years, global company. We have partners all around the world. We've worked with thousands of games, and we really provide all of the direct to consumer infrastructure that you would need. Um, Everything from a payments API that has over 1,000 different payment methods aggregated within it, to player identity systems, login systems, website building functionality, um, on and on and on. We over the past few years have been very active in leaders in the web shop space, where we're providing all the things that mobile developers would need to go off platform and connect directly with their players. And then we do a lot of other things. We help with working with content creators and influencers through our partner network. We have some emerging martech marketing tech with our offer wall, and there's many, many more things we do. But basically, if you want to run a game business, we provide everything that you need. And we also work as the merchant of record, which is a technicality, but it means basically that we can handle all of the taxes, the VAT, compliance, customer support, all of these sort of back office things, so that you don't have to, and you can just focus on making great games. And we really do try to provide everything in one place for you, so you don't have to go search for all these things yourself all over the place. And that's really important now because the industry is increasingly embracing direct to consumer, expanding beyond platforms. And there's a lot of things you need to do that, but fortunately companies like ours are here for you to provide those things.
Game developers have traditionally relied on closed ecosystems like the App Store, Steam, Google Play, or console marketplaces to distribute and monetize their games. But lately, we're seeing a shift toward direct to consumer strategies. So, why is D2C model becoming a more attractive and viable option for studios today?
So, Artem, there's a few different reasons. One, the platforms themselves have become increasingly crowded. Discovery on platforms has become very, very difficult. And the value proposition you get for launching on a platform, even if you do get some sort of featuring, is not what it once was. At the same time, discovery user acquisition costs have gone up, and partly due to the overcrowding on the platforms, also due to platform rules and privacy regulations and things like that. So it's becoming a much more crowded market on platforms. It's becoming much harder to get your game discovered. Um, and that's sort of the problem space. And at the same time, there have been increasing numbers of regulations and legal cases that are requiring these platforms to open up to things like third-party payments and steering off platform and you know things like that. So basically, you have a situation where the environment is difficult to operate within. You have regulations and legal precedents that are creating new opportunities to operate within that space, and it's allowing developers to now go off platform, go direct to consumer without violating the policies on the platforms, and be able to help reduce or address some of those pain points around discovery, while at the same time building more direct relationships with their players, being able to actually know who their players are and communicate directly with them, give them better offers. And the result is that when you go off platform and go direct to consumer, you have much more sort of functionality and capabilities than you do when you're on platform, which results in just better business overall. You're able to really utilize the full power of e-commerce, the full power of the web for discovery, and the full power of building community, and all of these things together just create a better, healthier business environment for your games. And it is not about sort of leaving the platforms altogether. They still have serve a purpose, but it's really about expanding your business beyond the platforms and generating new revenue streams, actually increasing revenue per paying user, getting to develop a better relationship with your players, on and on. So the timing is right, and more and more people are embracing it.
Xsolla's web shop has come up in a lot of recent industry conversations as a tool enabling this shift, especially for mobile and cross platform games. Can you walk us through what the web shop is, how it works, and why it's opening up new opportunities for developers?
So a web shop is in essence, it is a custom branded online store that you control, and it syncs seamlessly with your game's backend, enabling direct purchases of things like in-game currency, bundles, subscriptions, all of this. So it allows you to basically link out from your game to a website, which or a web shop. And on this site, you can provide expanded offerings and value to your players. It's not just putting your in-game store on the web. It's about doing much more with it and breaking free of a lot of the constraints that the app stores have on, how you can actually how you sell within your app. And it allows you to run live operations in your store. You're able to do, rotate sales just by updating your backend in real time. You get to provide different unique value to your players. You can know who your individual players are, provide unique bundles and offerings to them. You can bundle together things that you can't do within the store. You can do much more regional control of how you're running your business and your sales and your events related to your game and your game commerce. And it basically allows you to do much more. You can have better conversion features that lead to higher checkout rates, autofill, one tap checkout, personalized offers. You can A/B test different offerings, do cross-platform rewards, integrate loyalty programs, all of these things that you can't do within the App Store. And it really opens up true global reach, because with a web shop, you can, with ours, for instance, like I said, we have over 1,000 payment methods integrated. So no matter where your players are coming from, you can offer them alternative payments that are unique to where they are, and capture more paying players. You get all, this is the big one a lot of people don't talk about. You get all of the data about your players and how they're transacting. There's so much that is obfuscated or hidden from you when you go on the platform that they don't share. You get all of that, so you get a full data stack of your players, not just the gameplay but the commerce side of it. And then improved margins. At the end of the day, you're not paying a 30% tax. You're paying a 5 to 7% fee. And then, because of being able to utilize all these live ops capabilities, e-commerce, the full power of e-commerce, you actually, what we're seeing is companies are generating higher revenue per paying user on the web shop as well, because the players are getting more value out of the web shop. So you can move fast, get more value, and have a better relationship with your players.
Now, going direct means developers can finally own more of the player relationship. But it also means managing commerce, compliance, and security themselves. How does Xsolla help developers handle the complexities of global payments, fraud prevention, and regulatory compliance in D2C environments?
Yeah, that's a really important question. And you are correct. Once you go off platform or expand your business to include off platform, you now are responsible for the taxes, the VAT, the compliance. What does that mean? Compliance means, are you gathering information about KYC, which is know your customer? Are you compliant with different anti-money laundering laws or regulations around the world? Are there different privacy compliance requirements in different parts of the world? And it can be very, very complex. And every country, it's not even just the country level. You're getting down to the state and local level now, where there are different regulations, whether it's on the tax side or compliance side, all around the world. So fortunately, so it is something you have to think about, and usually, and the platforms normally handle that for you, which is a great value, right? But when you do go off platform, that's why it's important to find a partner, not just who's going to handle your payments or provide the tech stack for building your direct to consumer tech, but somebody that's also going to handle all of that, what I call back office work. And that also includes customer support, chargeback disputes, all of these things. And it is a massive undertaking. Even some of the biggest companies out there, and we work with all of the biggest players in the market, or the majority of them, as well as individual indie developers and everybody in between. But we see that a lot of the big companies are saying, "Gosh, we can handle this in North America, right?" Because generally, there's only the three major credit cards and PayPal, and they capture enough of the market. But when you go to the rest of the world, it's like, you know what, Xsolla, you guys take care of this. And for us, we have a large team that focuses on all of this, and because it's a core part of our business, that is a distributed kind of load across our network, and it's not difficult for us. And we've been doing it for 20 years. And once you find a partner that can help you with that, compliance readiness, can shift from being something that is a risk to kind of a growth advantage, because it means that you can operate anywhere and expand your reach when it comes to the number of paying users that you can work with, and just building up your audience bigger than it was just on platforms. So it's a big task, but if you find someone, and the shorthand for it is, find somebody that can be your merchant of record, and that's the sort of technical term for a company that is able to do all of this on your behalf. And actually, like for us, we take care of all the taxes, file all of that, do all of that paperwork. W-9s when working with content creators, all of these different things. Knowing your customer, like I said. So, not to scare people, it's a big thing, but it's a solvable thing. It's easy to solve by finding the right person to work with.
It looks like web shop could be more than just a storefront. It could become part of the studio's community and brand building efforts. Are you seeing developers use their D2C presence to create stronger long term connections with players beyond the transaction itself?
Yes, definitely. So, and this is something I'm particularly excited about, because I've long been an advocate of that sort of sense of building a community around your game. And what we're seeing now is that sort of the best in class uh, developers out there using web shops are using them, as I said, beyond just a storefront. They're using them to actually build up the community around their games, and create reasons beyond just purchases for players to come visit the web shop. And I mean, that can be everything from we're seeing more and more mobile games put browser versions of their games on their web shops. But community activities, forums, being able to connect with the developers being able to share news and updates, being able to run events on the web shop that bring people together. So, I think that is a great opportunity for web shops, and it's something that when you come from like old school PC developer like me, right? You're like, well, we've been doing this on PC for a long time. You build up community and all of that. But mobile really has not had that opportunity because it's something that the platforms just it's not that they were against it. There was no functionality, no ability to build a community. You couldn't collect your players' emails. You couldn't message them directly. You couldn't tell them while they were playing the game, hey, you know what? After you're done with this session, why don't you jump over to an AMA with the developers on our website, right? You can steer them off the platform, off the app. Now you can. You can do all of that, and you can really embrace that sense of community. And I love to, talk about how if you think of your game as more than a game, but you think of it as a hobby, and for your players, if your game is their hobby, what other things would they love to engage with? And when you think of other hobbies, things like golf or cars or music or whatever it may be, there's so much rich engagement opportunity around the core activity itself, that is out there when you look at different sites, that are in these different hobby areas. So I think thinking about your game as a hobby and how can I lean into that and build more value for my community. And when I say build, it's not even necessarily having to build stuff yourself. It's just creating an opportunity for players to come together, meet you, start sharing what they're excited about. And anyway, that you get the idea. I could go on and on, but I think that's a great direction for web shops, where they can really become these hubs that are the connective tissue for your entire game, and by extension the hobby of your game.
We're still in the early stages of this D2C movement, and it feels like there's a lot of room to grow. What's the next for the web shop and the D2C ecosystem? Are there any innovations, features, or trends you're especially excited about?
Yeah, I think a few things, Artem. I think playable link ads are very interesting. And why do I say that? We're seeing that with web shops, they are creating opportunities for developers to work directly with influencers on platforms like TikTok, and be able to provide links that go direct to a web shop in real time or direct to a game. And I think it's just a natural extension that you would start to see playable ads coming in there, where on these sort of high frequency social platforms where a lot of people are discovering games. I think it would make sense to start seeing those appear there. Um, I think seeing increased growth in the area of marketing tech and ad tech, just to carry on with that, linked to web shops. There's so much you can do, that helps to solve the user acquisition challenge that developers have, and tying those things directly to your web shops can help, I think, developers really start to own their user acquisition funnel and channel, right? Where you can know who your players are, you get all of the tools of not just campaign tracking, but reattribution and re-engagement, and you can tie all of this together and really own your whole user acquisition channel in a way that you can't within the App Store. I think is really interesting. And then community and live ops. I think we'll see more and more happening around there. Just personally as a gamer, I would love to see some meta sort of gameplay features come in on web shops that maybe create more, sort of just meta gameplay outside of the game, or that links back to the game. And then, you can just start to run with that idea of like, gosh, how would that work with if you're integrating those, influencers into that and starting to do events and challenges and, guild challenges and things like that. So I think there's so much that could be done. But the short answer is that marketing tech, ad tech are, I think, the big areas that we'll see a lot of advancements on web shops in the near future. It's already begun. I mean, we've already integrated with some retargeting partners and some ad partners so that you can actually get all of the analytics for your campaigns, for your, for your different performance marketing campaigns, to see how, the web shops are performing, not just the stores themselves. So that's all come together. And I think we'll see more and more of that because, as we know, user acquisition is the biggest challenge that's being faced out there, and web shops are a great way to tackle that. But we're just in the early stages.
Speaking of meta, here comes a meta question. Chris, what would you like to change in mobile space the most, if anything?
So I think really how value flows between platforms and developers and players. Really seeing the ecosystem be truly open and transparent. An ecosystem where the gatekeepers are not blocking the flow of relationships and data. Um, where revenue is more sort of, I think, equitably distributed. The fees are, I think, outrageous now based on the, reduced value proposition of platforms. So I'd love to see all of that come in line because at the end of the day, that'll help drive innovation. And, I think when incentives are aligned around creativity and community, everybody wins. I mean, maybe the gatekeepers maybe get a smaller piece, but they would have more activity. And honestly, things like web shops are just a reaction to the fact that the gatekeepers were not providing value within their platforms, and we're seeing it firsthand that when that value is there, the players respond. They engage more, they spend more, the games become better because the developers have more data and understanding of what their players are doing and what they want, and it becomes a win-win for the developers and the players. And so I would like to see more change in that direction for mobile, and to me that would be a huge win.
Okay, and now to land our plane, not like in Mission Impossible, not that dramatic. How can people get in touch with you and get more information about what you do?
Alrighty, so first and foremost, you could visit our website, xsolla.com. That's xsolla.com. We have all the things there, all the information. People can also just find me personally on LinkedIn, Chris Hewish, Hewish, and I'm very active on LinkedIn, and that's another way to get in touch.
Chris, thank you so much. That was terrific conversation. Really great. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Artem. Have a great day.
And that was Chris Hewish, president of Xsolla. To listen to more episodes, subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube podcasts. Just search for Business of Apps, and you will find us easily. Remember, we release episodes on Mondays, so subscribe, and you will be able to get new episodes on your smartphone, tablet, or computer as soon as we release them. And please don't forget to leave us a review or comment on iTunes. It is highly appreciated. And all episodes will also be available on businessofapps.com. Thank you for listening. See you next week.